Because thoughtful people make good decisions. And good decisions don't make for good drama. I mean, fuck. Can you imagine a TV show called Making the Right Decisions, where the entire half hour is everyone in that show is constantly making really good decisions for their lives and almost no ridiculous, unnecessary drama emerges? They're all of them are just fucking leveling up, and every scene is them just working hard on themselves and working hard on their projects. You'd be like, where's the drama? Nothing's happening. I've built many startups. Most of them have failed. So Bitcoin is exactly the place that I like to be. We're going to end it right there. Romeo and Juliet. This is not a story that I need to describe to you in full detail. You already know how the story goes, and you also know how the story ends. It's not one of those stories that really has a happy ending. Now, this is the movie, the quintessential movie that comes to my mind whenever I think about people who are completely out of control of their emotions. Like, this movie is the quintessential movie of men, women, children, really. Men and women and children, because all the main characters are basically children, but even the adults. Everyone's out of control. This movie could not have come out. Here's something meta for you guys. This movie could not have come out at a better time. Romeo and Juliet, in terms of the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, came out in 1996. Now, I was still living in Japan then, and all the girls were just swooning over this Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, he was so sexual, and the kiss. I remember girls like talking about how what's her? I forgot her name. What's the lady's actress's name? But anyway, I remember how all the girls in school were all talking about how unfair it was. How unfair it was that ugly ass bitch got to kiss the most handsome namja, the most handsome man or boy, really his boy, man-child, on the planet, Leonardo DiCaprio. This is a ridiculous movie. One of my favorite scenes. The height of emotionality is when Mercutio. If you remember when Mercutio, they're out at the beach. The wind's kicking up. The scene is getting gloomy. Mercutio is out there with Leo, Romeo, and with Tybalt, right? And Mercutio and Tybalt are fighting, and Romeo is trying to get them to stop fighting, and he pulls and he grabs Mercutio, his friend. He says, "Man, you need to stop fighting." And Tybalt takes this opportunity and shanks him in the side. Now, any of you guys harkening back to this movie and harkening back to this experience back in the mid-90s with Leonardo DiCaprio and Romeo and Juliet will remember what Mercutio said as he was holding his side, bleeding profusely from his side. What does he say? He says, "A curse on both your houses." A curse on both your houses. And Tybalt runs away. And of course, Leonardo DiCaprio, Romeo, runs after him and guns him down in cold blood. Guys, if this wasn't a quintessential movie of absolute passion in 1996, I don't know what it was. It was a movie of passions. Fuck! Everyone dies. Everyone burns. I mean, Romeo dies, Juliet dies, Mercutio dies, Tybalt dies, all the friends die. And the parents are left there dumbfounded as to what has happened. You see, Romeo and Juliet in the mid-90s with Leonardo DiCaprio was a perfect movie for the times. Let's get meta. This was pre-9/11. This is when consumerism was beginning to grow. The traditional values are being eroded day by day. Multimedia, MTV is only growing. We clearly see that the programming of the 90s and the programming of the early 2000s, what that programming had on society in terms of music, TV, movies. I mean, let's just be honest. Since 1996 with Romeo and Juliet till today, has not TV, movies, music got even more cruder, even more vile? This was the rise of MTV and reality shows. We didn't have twerking in the 90s. We didn't have any of the overly sexually stimulated brains in the 90s. You know why? Because we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have mobile devices. We didn't have active stimuli in our brains. Romeo and Juliet was the best example of complete emotionality and acting on every single emotion you could possibly conjure up. Because of the 90s and the early 2000s, we have now a rise of emotional action, emotional everything, right? We now have the rise of the YouTube, the rise of cult personality, where everyone can be a star, right? You know what the secret formula is today? The secret formula of today to be successful in the YouTube land, in the YouTube world of anyone can be a star? The secret to success is being more wild, more outlandish, more perverse, more vile than anyone else, right? And what is it at its base? What is today's entertainment at its base? Let your emotions guide the action. That's it. Let your emotions guide the action, and that makes for the best forms of entertainment. Let's be honest. Desperate Housewives, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of fill in the blank is that show. Is that entire show. Isn't it just a show about emotions? About people who are just acting on every single fucking emotion possible, from love, sex, dating, money, heartbreak, stabbing people in the back, talking shit. It's all emotion. In many ways, I would say that my content is the antithesis of pop culture. Why? Because it requires you to sit down. It requires you to listen. It requires you to take account of your life. It requires you to be introspective, and maybe, just maybe, it requires you to be thoughtful. Wow, novel idea, I know. And you say, well, Peter, what are we talking about today? You see, one of my jobs as a father is to always remind my kids they never have to act on their emotions. That's one of my jobs. One of my jobs to remind my kids is to master their emotions, to manage their emotions, that they never have to act on how they feel. That only makes for good TV and movies. You want to know why TV, movies, and entertainment is so entertaining? It's because no one on those shows has any personal responsibility. No one on those shows ever takes account of how their emotions affect their actions. If everyone in every TV show and if everyone in every movie was thoughtful, then there would be no movies. There would be no TV shows. Because thoughtful people make good decisions. And good decisions don't make for good drama. I mean, fuck. Can you imagine a TV show called Making the Right Decisions, where the entire half hour is everyone in that show is constantly making really good decisions for their lives and almost no ridiculous, unnecessary drama emerges? They're all of them are just fucking leveling up, and every scene is them just working hard on themselves and working hard on their projects. You'd be like, where's the drama? Nothing's happening. But here's what's so ironic is that if you had a TV show of 10 different people who are constantly working on themselves, improving their lives, improving their hustle, improving their position, their station in life, and you look at it and say, fucking nothing's happening. That's right. Because self-improvement is fucking boring. Grinding hard is boring. Everything that you see on Instagram, everything that you see on Facebook and Twitter are the highlight reels of a ridiculously boring lifestyle of a man or woman who has a passion to grind out a future that they're sick and tired of talking about. And they want to do it. Look, this is right. This is why we don't watch TV. Because we don't want our kids to take from the social cues of retarded people, right? And I'll make this fundamentally clear, and this is my opinion, and I may be wrong, but it's my opinion. There's a very easy direct correlation to increased TV consumption and emotional decision making. Let me put it a different way. The more that you consume television programming, which is programming your mind, the more that you consume television, the more that you make emotional decisions. You know one of the best ways to see this? Have kids. Why? Because you will clearly be able to see the difference between kids who are raised by parents and kids who are raised by media. Let me say that again for all of you parents out there. Okay? My kids are not raised by media. Easy. And it's unfortunate, but because my kids aren't raised by media, it is so easy for me to see other kids who are. Because their emotions are unchecked. They take examples and cues from the media on YouTube and TV and movies that they see. And in movies that they see, TV that they see, YouTube that they see a bunch of knuckleheads who constantly never are thoughtful about how their emotions guide their decisions. Now, certainly that makes for great drama. It makes for great drama, certainly. But that makes for a terrible, terrible life. And I'll say this, and I'll say it once. When it is fundamentally clear that kids are not raised by parents, but raised by media, I'm calling out all of you guys, parents, it's your fucking fault. It's your fault. You're fucking up your kids. You know why? Because you're not raising your kids. You're letting the TV raise your kids. 3 things. Let's get into it, guys. When it comes to mastering your emotions, this is something that's so crucial. I'll be honest with you. The most successful people on the planet have mastered their emotions. They don't react. They respond. They don't react. Reaction is emotional based. Responding to a situation is being thoughtful. We all know that we make our best decisions when we're highly emotional, right, guys? Let's get into it. These are the 3 things that I talk to my kids about almost monthly, easily monthly, maybe twice a month, depending on how they poorly allow their decisions to guide their emotions to guide their decisions. Number 1, emotions can't be controlled initially. You need to recognize your emotion. Hit the fucking pause button. That's how I do it with my kids, because my kids are young. My kids enjoy playing video games. I gave them an awesome video game for their Nintendo Switch called Toe Jam and Earl. It's the reboot. Finally, I love this game. It's the best. I played Toe Jam and Earl on Sega back in the day. I gave it to them. This rebooted. They love it. I always have to tell them to hit pause. You know why? Because when they're playing together, this game, they get frustrated with each other. One of the guys, a lot of the time, one guy will drop off the map, and then he'll go into split screen, and then they can't figure out where each other are, and then they get pissed at each other. I tell them to hit the pause button. That's step 1. When emotions rise, pause. Hit the pause button. Toe Jam and Earl, stop. Collaborate and listen. Pause. Pause. You don't have to respond. You don't have to react. When shit gets whack, when emotions rise, pause. Recognize the emotion rising. Anger, frustration, discontent, whatever it is. Pause. Number 2, recognize why you feel that way. So it's very simple for my kids. I tell them, number one, pause. Number two, ask the question, why? Why? Ask yourself why. And you want to know 99% of what happens when I see my kids fighting and I tell them to pause and I look at both of them, I say, why? They know where I'm going. I'm asking them the short form version of why are you feeling this way? And 99% of their time they respond, it goes like this. I feel like, thank you, welcome to millennial generation. The millennial generation, they start everything with, I feel like. Okay, well, that's a terrible thing to base your life on because your feelings are fleeting, your feelings change, and your feelings aren't real. No, they are real, but they're terrible as a basis and foundation for making logical and rational decisions, my friend. Now that you are highly aware of this now, listen to a millennial talk. Listen to a younger generation individual, someone who was raised not by parents, but raised by media. Listen to how they phrase things in life. They generally start off with the words, I feel like, and then they're done. Recognize why. You know what my kids say? They say, I feel like it's unfair. I feel like he's not doing. I feel like she's not doing. I feel like. Yeah, I know. There's an unmet expectation. There's an unmet emotional need. Sorry. I'm sorry that's rising up in your gut. I'm sorry you feel that way. But you do not have to react. You do not have to act on how you feel. Pause. Why do you feel that way? Oh, I feel like. Okay, you feel. Good. Do you want to let that feeling pass, or would you like to react to it and make shit worse? Number 3, what is the positive response? This was easy for you guys to probably guess, right? I'm all about good juju. I'm all about positive thinking. Why would I ever want anything negative to come into myself or my family unit? No way, Jose. Not happening. Number 1, pause. Number 2, why do you feel that way? Number 3, what's the positive response? What's the positive response? You know what happens once I remind my children I say, what's the positive response? You know what happens? 99% of the time, they shut the fuck up. Because they're so emotionally encapsulated. They're so emotionally controlled at that moment that they no longer have any decision-making ability. They have no rationale tank left. It's empty. They're gone. You know what they end up doing? They just shut the fuck up and sit there. And they let the emotion pass. And I love moments like this. Do you know why? Because those moments, I can gently remind my children that whenever your emotions rise, 99% of the time, shutting the fuck up and saying nothing, it's generally the best thing to do every time. From there, if we're lucky, we can help refocus them, my kids, to something else. Just exit, if possible, but reminding them that they always have a choice as to how they respond. You see, one of the reasons why you're not successful, one of the reasons why I'm not as successful as I could be, one of the reasons why you're not where you want to be, one of the reasons why other people aren't where they want to be, I'm just going to call out everybody. One of the reasons why everybody in the world is not where they want to be is because they haven't mastered their emotions, or at least mastered their emotions to a level that is beneficial to them. Sometimes mastering emotions just means just calming down and realizing life isn't that bad. Realize that we're still on this plane, still unmovable, right? Nothing's happening, guys. Nothing's happening. Think about it. Master your emotions. Why people aren't successful today? It's because they can't master their emotions. They feel like they have to respond to everything, react to everything. No, you don't. You know what the worst is? The worst is people who react to what's on the TV. Have I talked about that enough in this episode? Are you reacting to the TV? Are you reacting to movies? Are you reacting to media? Are you reacting to the news? None of that is real. None of that is real. If you let the TV control your emotions for the day in the reality that you actually have to live in, golly, you are an unbaked person. You have not fully baked You need to go back in the womb. You need to go get baked again. Get mature. Manage your fucking emotions. I can't tell you how many man-childs I meet. Brothers who are just as old as me, near damn fucking 40, and still act like children. Can't manage their emotions. Fuck. That's why you're poor, bro. That's why you're poor. Anyway, number 1, pause. Whenever something's rising up in your gut, pause. Fucking pause. Recognize, why do you feel that way? You feel that way because, unmet need, unmet expectation. Good. Pause. Sit in it. You don't have to react. What's the positive response? Generally, just shutting the fuck up and moving on. So here's the question for you guys today. When it comes to mastering your emotions, I think it's a good reminder that we all need to master our emotions all the time. What do you? Let us know in the comments below if you're willing to write it. What do you need to chill the fuck out about? This is Peter, the Bitcoin Lambo. If you like this episode, feel free to subscribe. Smash the Lizzie like button, and if you're really feeling like mastering your emotions today, copy and paste this link to someone that needs to hear it. Oh, by the way, I always like to pin the best comments. See you.